Hey James, happy Sunday. How are you doing today?
Right back to you, my friend. How's the weekend been for you?
Oh, my weekend, I'm pretty exhausted but exhilarated. I stayed up pretty much all night last night getting some Milky Way shots and
So that was Friday and Saturday night, huh?
no, oh, the picture that I just posted, I
Yeah.
that was last night. That was
Oh,
about
great.
2:30 this morning, so uh, I stayed at a
You're
cool little.
dedicated.
It is. Well, I don't know. There's a lot of detail that goes into taking one of those and the timing, and I had to plan out exactly where I was going to stand, and so it's my golf. So I really
It is.
I like doing that. But
Yeah.
yeah.
Those Milky Ways move so fast,
Hey,
you know.
so uh, what have you been doing this weekend, James?
Well, Saturday's my Sabbath, so I kind of chill out there and have a day of rest with my family and things like that, and that was really good. And I take my dog on walks, and today I saw emergency of an oral surgeon in town, and I restored his mouth a number of years ago, and he has a car shop at his house, which is just immaculate. This guy builds cars like you couldn't believe, and a tool fell on his front tooth number 9 and busted it off at the gum line. So
Oh,
I went in and did a little rescue issue,
on an oral
and he was
surgeon. Good for you.
on an oral surgeon, and he was really grateful for that. But that's been my today, and other than that, it's been good. The weather here this time of year is primo. It's just that's that one thing I love about this area.
It's a beautiful area. It's a great
Just the
area.
best.
I think we've been having San Diego weather here in
Oh,
Texas,
you
and
have in Texas. So what does that mean? What does San Diego weather mean in Texas?
oh, low 80s, low humidity.
Whoa.
You can hear the ocean in the background through the trees. Something like that.
So,
hey,
so
you, hey, you know what I wore for you today, James?
what?
I wore an official Pearl Snap shirt. So if you want to be a real cowboy, I can kind of fake it in Texas. I'm not a real cowboy, but up in your part of California, I think people would think I'm a cowboy.
These are things I need to know. Every year I make a new step toward being a Texan, and I got to get the shirt now. Now,
You got to get one.
is there anything else that goes along with that? Are there special pants that you wear, or does Levi go?
You can do all sorts of Wranglers and things like that. You'll be okay. Our next
Oh,
guest,
Wranglers.
I
Okay.
guarantee you, our next guest has like a whole closet full of Wranglers. I guarantee you.
Hey,
But
what's wrong?
hang on just a second, buddy. So James, do you know why cowboy shirts are snaps? Why do you think
Because
they're snap?
you got to get them off quickly.
Well, when you're on the bull or the horse, you don't want to get snagged. So
Yeah.
it's snagged, and so what'll happen? It gets ripped off. But do you know why they became pearl over time?
Feed me,
It's
bud.
Well, because the country boys were intimidated by the city boys, and so this is a true story. And the country boys decided they had to start fixing up their shirts, and so they started putting the mother of pearl. I think I want to start making these out of zirconia. How would that look?
I like that. I like that. And, then you can put that on digital enamel, and we'll buy those shirts and say you want to get a culture that would make you outstanding in all walks of life. You got to
Uh,
get a digitally enamel shirt.
or how
See?
about a smock? We could make smocks. Anyway,
Oh, it's fun.
hey, my friend, you were up with thoughts, right? You got a good inspirational thought for us?
I have a thought, and I always think of this on the weekend because we all need courage with what we're going through. We don't know exactly how we're all going to come back, but somehow we're going to adapt and pivot to what we need to do. And this one is by Jeff Olson. He's an author of The Slight Edge. And I have this book. It's called About Defining Success, and it has these quotes, and I like this one a lot. Sometimes getting on the path to success and staying on it requires faith in the process, especially at the start. It's almost like we're going to start all over again for some of us. That makes you a pioneer. Pioneers don't know what's out there, but out there, they go anyway. That's why being a pioneer takes such courage. Courage means to have a purpose and to have heart. And I think anything we do in life that's uncertain, which I almost feel like I'm getting out of dental school, getting ready to start another practice from scratch. Emotionally, I don't think it's going to go that way, but you don't know what the future holds. But you have to go back to your roots and the courage that we had when we still had that dream, getting out of dental school, that dream that we're looking at. And I'll tell you, our guest today, he helps me dream in good ways. He's really impacted my life in two folds. Number one, implants. I started placing implants because of his books and his leadership. And I think it's Implants Made Simple, right? And Made Easy. Sorry. Thanks, August. And then he did a printing party at my training center a year ago, and that really got me into printers, and I have 4 printers now. And it's just a blessing to have people like you, Todd, and our guest. They've just made a real difference
August,
in my life.
You're up, buddy.
He's good. And you know what, August? You just looking so suave and together today.
Dude, you are looking California there, buddy.
Yeah.
You know what? But I look at cheesy weatherman. I'm going to be growing a man bun here in about a month. I'm going crazy. Everyone knows how vain and neurotic I am, so I haven't had a haircut for a while.
Hey, Todd, can you be a cowboy and have a man bun?
Yeah, in Austin.
No. Well, Austin doesn't count. Austin's a unique little pocket. I've always told people from California, Austin is the only city in Texas that a respectable California would ever live in. So that's the reason why it probably was like San Diego here today. August, you are looking good, my friend. I like your hair longer. It's good. Maybe you should wear it longer. You look younger.
I won't. But thank you. Well, and I really love your pearl button shirt.
Pearl snap, really buddy.
Pearl snap.
I will never wear that, but it looks good on you.
It looks just like your shirt.
Thank you for the compliment. I really don't feel like I could ever teach you or Todd anything. I mean, you guys are so ahead of the game, so I appreciate you even mentioning me.
Well, the feelings come back your way, August. So, August, you've been really involved with printing, and I know you're going to share with us some things that we need to know, particularly about printing masks and things like that. And so tell us what you're doing.
Well, I've been bored off my ass. So I think, like you guys, I'm so used to working. I'm so used to doing things. And so I've been seeing emergency patients once a week, doing some implants, a lot of root canals, a lot of broken teeth. But I've been playing around with some resources from people that are pretty amazing. So I've got this thing here. Looks like C3PO. It looks pretty freaky. But I can put it over here and show you. This is a 3D printed N95 mask. So Dr. Wally Renee, world expert on all things digital. I have huge respect for the guy. He developed this at the university and brought it out, and it's pretty interesting. So this is a Roomba filter. So the little robot that little cats like to sit on and ride around your house. The Roomba filter just pops right in here.
Yeah.
And put a strap. What I found was I had an old pair of scrubs, and so the strap from the pair of scrubs comes on, and you put it on. So this material is pretty interesting. Can I hold it up to the screen so you guys see a little bit
that
better?
Looks cool.
It looks pretty smooth.
Yeah, beautiful and shiny. So this was printed on a printer that may be different than what you guys have. It's called an FDM printer, or a fused deposition modeling printer. That actually prints in custom tray material.
Okay.
So the
nice.
element that we used in Sirac Guide 1, people using in NTI night guards, it comes in little spools.
Yeah.
And so it's thermoplastic. So with this mask, what you can actually do is either use a hair dryer or put it in a pot of boiling water and take it out and actually mold it to your face.
There you go.
So make it a custom thing. So that's one 3D printed mask thing. Can I share with you another one?
Well, before you go, can I ask you a question about that?
Yeah.
So the build plate looks huge for that. So
Yeah, it's big. So the printer that I use is called a Prusa printer. It's Prusa. It's probably 20 centimeters by 20 centimeters. It's actually pretty big.
That's
so
what you print
not,
that's what you print your flowers on and everything, right? And you kind of you print your toys. Huh?
Taking pictures of the galaxy, and I'm a 50-year-old man printing toys. Very creepy. But yeah, that's what I printed on. So it uses this filament, and one thing that people may not know, this was printed without supports. So there's no support structure on it, and there's no post-processing. So there's no alcohol or curing lights. When it comes out, it's all done. Mm-hmm. And this is in a material called polylactic acid, which is a derivative of corn oil. So all the bougie people in Austin that go to Whole Foods, all the plastic bags in Whole Foods and the disposable cutlery are made out of PLA. So it's a corn oil, biodegradable, friendly derivative.
I remember that from your lecture.
August, Wally Rene just said thanks for the shout out, so he's on board watching.
Wally and I and you chilled out on the yacht or steamer or whatever that thing was in the IDS. That was a lot of fun.
Very, very. What else you got going on?
Nothing much. Just I put my 3D printing party online. So one thing that I've always wanted to do was I do a course called 3D Printing Party, where I go around with about 4 or 5 printer vendors, and people get to play with Sprint Ray Pro, a Form 3B from Formlabs, the Asiga printer, the Envisiontech one, all sorts of different printers. So I actually put the whole course online. So that took about 2 weeks, which was good because I was going crazy. I watched watched Ozarks, got through some series. I know Todd's not a big TV series kind of guy. How about you, James? Do you watch TV?
You know what I've been doing? I watch a little bit with my wife. It's mainly YouTube. We'll watch documentaries and things like that. I've been busy shooting videos and with my online site, kind of like you. I've been really actually quite busy. And there's just different ways to get things done. And I think this time in our world, we'll find out what we can actually do to reach the world. I think online education is the future of how we're going to touch people. And, a time like this may cause us to look a little bit more in that direction. I know I'm getting my online CE right now through Dental XP, since I can't use my own. But I need about another 9 units before July, so I'm going with Dental XP.
Yeah.
Where's your online posted at?
It's on a site called teachable.com. And actually, I did something weird. Apparently, I had too many friends on Facebook, so I had exceeded the 5,000 friend mark. Yeah. So I switched over to a business page, and I guess I'll put it up on the business page.
Oh, that's great.
Teachable.com. 12 units.
Any new books in the pipe?
Actually, I'm going to be doing this instead. So writing books was awesome. I kind of, for me, the way that I learn, I kind of need to earmark stuff and highlight stuff and do all that kind of stuff. But after my last book, I just thought, you know what, I think a video learning might be better because I can update it a little bit easier.
Yeah, that's the thing.
I think from now on, I'm going to stick to that. I'm going to do a series on digital hybrids. And so rather than writing a book on digital hybrids, I'm going to do a video series on how to do a digital hybrid, how to design it, how to mill it, all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, that's the hardest thing right now to update. On my side, I have CE that you can get, and I'll put a course out there, and then all of a sudden there's a new software. And a lot of my online CE goes through a full workflow, it starts from diagnostics, the software, finishing whatever product you're going to use, and then placing it in the mouth. So some of that still works. So what I do is I keep my files and update them to the next version of the software so you can stay relative to your viewing audience. But it does take some work because things change so much. Now, in your field, you're like in the iPhone field. There's so many updates and new printers and new applications. It just seems like this area is exploding in our profession. Yeah. And did you hear our presentation on Facebook Live with Don? And because we were working to get information out of him, Don Bell from Oliveira, and he was saying, as a manufacturer, they see the next focus is in printing for a lot of things that they're going to be producing with materials, which is really interesting.
Yeah, I'm most excited about sintering-based printing, where you actually take zirconia powder and shoot laser into it, and I think that for me sounds like the way to go. So literally, rather than milling something, sintering it later, you can just literally print and sinter at the same time. And Todd and I saw a zirconia.
Lithos? Was it Lithos? Yeah. That looked like a huge machine to be able to do that, but they showed sintered bridges and a lot of different things.
It looked a little big.
It's not chair side for sure. That's definitely lab side, but it was pretty cool and that was the first dental meeting they'd ever been to, so they were kind of just testing the water to see how that was going. But so August, tell us more about printing. What else you got going as far as face mask stuff to help us with this virus stuff we're going through?
Sure. Well, this is an N95 mask.
Yeah.
N95 mask, the reason why it fits well is it really adapts to your face. And this is our exam mask, which they call an N70 mask. The filtration is the same as the N95 mask, but it loses its fit because of it being baggy.
Yeah.
So there's a site called, there's an iPhone app called Bellis 3D. I know I've been posting a lot about it. If you have an iPhone 10 or above, it's a free app. And what it does is it does a 3D face scan. And within the app, there's literally a button. There's no design. And you can actually print a frame that goes over your face. And so this is a 3D printed frame. And so what it does is it takes your N70 and adapts it to your face. And the cool thing about it is it's completely custom. So if you have a kid, let's say, that you want to take to the grocery store and you're a little scared, little kids don't usually have, faces that adapt to N70s. You can print this, and so it'll just adapt to it. And
what's your printer? What printer did you use for that? Because it looked like the build plate. Would the Sprint Ray Pro have a build plate large enough for that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, you can definitely use the Sprint Ray Pro. What I found was I printed a bunch on the Sprint Ray Pro, and you have to print support. So those that aren't familiar with 3D printing, the build plate's here, and if you have any area that's, we call it an overhang, you've got to make a bunch of, to use a CIREC term, sprues that go up into it. So you just have to be really careful with the Sprint Ray to remove them, or you'll break the whole frame. So this is actually made with that FDM Prussia printer, so it's a lot tougher.
Okay.
But you can definitely do it with anything.
That's a really good tip, because I
how
think
do you design it?
You don't. It's literally a button. So it scans your face. Actually, you know what? Hang on a second.
Demonstrate that for us.
I don't know if this is going to show up, but I'm just going to pull up Bellis, and you can see my ugly mug.
Yeah. So that's a free software, right? Or is it? Don't you pay on the export? How does that Bellis 3D work?
Actually, the mask is free.
But
so
the Bellis
this
software.
This is me. Kind of creepy, right? And so this is made with an iPhone using the iPhone camera. And so there's a button here that says Mask Fitter. I'm going to hit this button.
Oh my goodness.
And it's going to make me read a little thing and call it August. It says wait approximately 10 seconds. And so now you can see my ugly mug with the mask frame.
That is awesome. Seriously.
So there's no design. Yeah, and then you hit and it asks you just in your normal thing to send it, and it sends you the file, and it's completely free. Now, if you wanted to use a face scan, let's say in conjunction with a big Syrah case, or if you're sending out to any lab, it's $1. And so you can export the patient's face smiling and incorporate that into Smile Design for $1.
So,
and if you want, go ahead.
No.
If you want to be super, you can print your face.
Oh, but that's where it costs something, right? Where isn't it?
It's $1.
Oh, can you handle that now in these hard times?
Yeah, you know it's so funny. I post it's like Bellis. It's a free face app, and some jackwagon says, "No, it's not. It's $1." It's like, whoa, okay, it's $1. I'm sorry, it's a free app, but it's $1 to export for a non-mask. But the mask is free, so the export for the mask is free.
Is Bellis a dental company?
You know, they've done what a lot of companies have done. Like most printer companies did not start in dental, but they saw we had really deep pockets, and they're all of a sudden, you know, screw the jeweler or screw some weird, 50-year-old guy that lives in his mom's basement, printing Dungeons and Dragons dolls. We're going after the dentist. So Bellis started out as just, they thought, actually the original idea was for virtual makeup. So you scan a face, go on Sephora, and then take your face scan and try different makeup with it. And dentists were like, holy crap. I mean, so I paid an ungodly amount of money for my Galileo's Comfort Plus that had a face scan, which I can't do anything with it. You can't even export the face scan. And so it makes me extra angry that for $1, I can now have a face scan of way higher quality. I've played with 3D Systems that actually makes the NextDent printer, has a face scan gadget that's $500, and it's nowhere near the quality of this free app. So it's pretty cool. If you're an Android user, God bless you. Isn't that what they say in Texas when they mean something else? If you're
bless your heart. Bless your heart.
Bless your heart. Yeah. You can buy the camera for $500.
Oh, good. What else do you see happening in this post-virus world? Or we'll never get out of the viruses, but this post-slumber world.
It's funny. I mean, like you or everyone else out there, there's a part of you that wants to go on the news, and I like Fox News. What I like to do actually is go on Fox News and then go on CNN and just for a laugh a little bit at how different the same story is. But, you go on the news, you listen to the California Dental Association or, all these different people. And I got no clue. One day it's, we're all wearing N95 masks and Ebola suits. And then the next day is, regular precautions. I don't know. I mean, I bought a bunch of face shields. I bought a bunch of N95 masks. I bought a digital thermometer to measure the patients. We what we do is we tell our patients to call us before they come in. Okay. And then when they come in for their emergencies, what we do is we don't make them wait in the waiting room. We stick them in a room. And so that might be an empty hygiene room. It might be my cone beam consult room, may even be the lab, so that we don't have anyone else waiting in our fairly small waiting room.
Yeah, I think
is happening.
Yeah, the frame that you showed right there, I think, is going to have a lot of use. I think because just just want you. Can you just leave that on for the rest of the interview?
Like a silent lamps or something like that. I want to have a nice Chianti with fava beans or something.
Yeah, exactly.
That's great.
I think that's going to have a real practical nature in the future, because I think what's going to happen is we're all going to have, like you said, the Ebola suits for a while, and then we're going to realize we can't practice like this. We can't see. We're getting too hot, and then my guess is that we're going to go to something more simple like that. So, how long does it take to print one of those things? It's not very long, does it?
It takes about 3 or 4 hours. So it does take. I mean, this bad boy, the C3PO mask, took about 14 hours, and this frame takes about 3 or 4 hours.
Oh, cool.
But again, there's no post-processing involved. There's no alcohol or curing lights or anything like that. So you just peel off the support.
That looks like it belongs on Star Wars.
Yeah, actually I've got a Darth Vader one. I've got, like, if you watched a few Star Wars movies, they threw in some C3PO cousins that were like copper. So they're great. I left it at my office, but there's a material called TPU. And TPU is what tennis shoes are made out of. So have you ever seen Carbon printer, the $50,000 a year printer printing out Adidas shoes? I printed one in TPU. And TPU is squishy. And so like a tennis shoe, it fits to your face and it adapts a little better. So it's expensive and hard to print. So PLA is usually an easier material.
Hey, for those watching, and we got quite a few people watching right now. Now's the time to let us know if you got a question for August. If you do have one, just print one out or type one out. I'll throw it up on the screen, and we'll let the California dude answer your questions.
Yeah, with my weatherman hair. I figure, long enough. Austin Powers.
That's looking terrible. Good. Hey, James, what are you doing? What are you doing in the printing world right now?
I'm doing a lot of printing with models and appliances and working in that avenue of things. With the nature of my practice, it's more of a pros-like practice. I have a lot of large cases going on every week, and so I do staging. And for instance, my transitional bites, I print. And I've been working with that as well. And now also machine materials and then fit them on a printed model. So when a patient comes in, it really cuts down my amount of time there. So for instance, when I open a bite, I'll do it with like a Celtra. I've used Celtra for that because that's a transitional material. Or I'll use a composite material, and I'll make oddlies that are prepless, and then I fit them on the model to make sure everything's going to go smooth. So when the patient comes in, I have it down where I can make a jig and cement them all in just a really short period of time. So printing actually saves me a lot of time. And since I have the Asiga, which August did recommend, I can use that with a lot of faith on my fully prepped arches if I'm not doing that in one appointment, and that saves me a lot of time. So I think the only impression I've taken since the prime scan's taken out it's later in the day, my words aren't coming out right, but since I've had the prime scan, the impression material I've used has been on border molding off of a custom tray that I took with the prime scan and then printed it. So that's and then I'll scan that back into the computer and send that off to a digital lab. So that's the only analog impression material I've been using lately.
Hey, James, just so you know, with that little hiccup that you had, you got a lot of hearts. Somebody's giving you a lot of love across your face again, just like the last video.
You know what's interesting is I didn't start speaking till age 5, and I had to really work through a stammering problem. And when I get tired, I'm a little tired at the end of the day, I kind of go to that spot, and I have to really think about my words or I'm going to stumble over them. But it's just something that you have to learn how to work through. And on top of that, I have dyslexia. So, see, I'm really being transparent today.
Yeah. Well, you're getting a lot of love, James Clem.
I need a lot of love because what's going on up here is okay. The problem is the mouth.
Hey, August, I got a question for you from Caroline Kowalski. She asks, will the frame print on an SLA printer?
Yes, you just have to be careful when you remove your supports. So when you print it, you've got these supports, and when you're removing them, don't be too aggressive. Like, don't rip them off. Use wire cutters to cut them out, just because it's going to be a little bit more brittle on an SLA printer than an FDM printer.
Yeah, and then Christian Brenz, he's a famous guy in your digital world, isn't he?
Oh, yeah. Christian was involved with the camera or the mask as well.
So he has a very serious question for you. Is the Corona beer on purpose due to the coronavirus?
Yes, it is. It's they didn't have a COVID beer, so.
I guarantee you Corona beer is just like flying off the shelves during all this. It's crazy. But so Karen Halpern says August is the king of 3D printing. That is for sure. How do you feel?
Thank you.
Well, I've always said she's great. I've always said that there isn't anybody in this entire digital dental world that knows more about three things. That's printing, chairside CAD CAM, and then 3D imaging. And that's you, man. You've got the trifecta for sure.
Definitely. Yeah.
Thank you. No. You know, like you guys, I'm passionate about different things, and you guys have huge fortes, especially the anterior stuff you guys do is amazing. So, but actually, James, I want to ask you a question.
Yeah.
How are you getting dies? So you're printing your models. Do you have in lab, and do you make dies?
So what I'll do, I find that the solid model is my preference. So on in lab, I'll go ahead and clear out like 0.8 to 0.9 clearance from the margin. So I'll export it as a DXD because that will still respect my margin drawing. And then I just process it through the in lab, and it's been really clean. Yeah. In fact, you kind of shared with me that technique and how to assess the accuracy. So I did the same thing where I took a stone model, I imaged it, I printed it, and I kept testing everything. And I found that the interproximal contacts from a premolar to premolar was spot on. And that has changed my life because I wanted to get away from analog impressions if I was finishing a case where I was processing those restorations in between appointments. And that really helped me a lot. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, my lab, I recommended the Asiga to my lab guy, and he did an interesting experiment. So if you're a purist, you're not supposed to wax up anything on a 3D printed model. What it's meant for is you use your CAD/CAM software, be it ExoCAD or anything else, mill it out, and it's used to check the fit because you have die spacer. So he actually waxed up a case on the Asiga, and it fit perfectly.
Yeah.
So I think that's
Well, I saw a study. It was presented by a whip mix lab tech, and he was showing that the accuracy of the Asiga was comparable to carbon, which, from my understanding, are the two most accurate printers out there for what we do, and because we're into these microns, and I have found it to be spot on. It's actually blown me away. But I do like to get that soft tissue out of the way if I can. But on veneers, I don't do that because otherwise it will clear out the interproximal. So I'm not necessarily making a separate die that fits into a model. I don't need that for what I do. But I've found it to work very well.
One more thing, if I could point out with the Asiga, since it's a 385 nanometer light engine versus 405, which a lot of the other printers, it can print gingival mask.
Yeah.
And so I think it's
very
really
nice
about printing in my implant cases is printing the gingival mask.
Yeah.
So
But, I like the Sprint Ray Pro as well. I think it's really good for those that are doing their aligners with the software because it's fast. It has a larger build plate. I think there's different purposes for different levels of printers, and I think you brought that out in the print party that I attended. And I'm just learning, but I'm very practical in the way I use it. No, I have a question for you. How about materials for like appliances, like a mouth guard?
Yeah.
Are we making progress where we can process those, where they're going to have more durability?
Yeah, you've been lukewarm. You've been lukewarm on those materials. How are you feeling now?
This is just August's opinion. Okay, this is not. There's a lot of people.
That's why we have you on here, August, for your opinion.
My opinion. So think about that. So what is 3D? It's Biz GMA resin, which is Luxatemp. So do you think a patient who's grinding the smack out of enamel down to dentin, and you have Biz GMA resin and you have acrylic, which one's going to break first? So it could be me. It could be that I'm just a lame dentist, but I have a 100% failure rate with 3D printed night guards. They may last.
Just you. It's just you.
Well,
you're the only one.
Just a couple of weeks, maybe a couple of months, but they eventually break. And one criticism I had with 3D printed night guards were that they were not optically clear. So a lot of them were a little bit cloudy or yellow. Asiga and Sprint Ray and Envisiontech have all come out with optically clear night guard material, so it is in fact optically clear. But I just don't trust them. There's, for lack of a better word, and it makes sense in your own office. So if you are doing, James, you're opening the bite, you want a patient in temporaries for months. What's going to be a stronger material? Luxatemp or PMMA?
PMMA.
Yeah, PMMA is going to last longer.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing.
So with the, I guess the Lucitone came out, we saw that at the last DSL World in combination with carbon. Is there a special formula there? And
yeah, it might be.
Can they post-process it after it's printed? I'm wondering where that's going to go, because maybe it's just like anything else we do now, like with Emax, we process it once it mills, and then that gives the strength. Will we have materials in the future where we can either heat condition them or light condition them, and then it changes their formulation so we do get the strength? Because that would really be nice. I have found that all my appliances, probably for 4 years, I'll send off to Great Lakes Orthodontics, that lab there, and those appliances just drop right in. And so everything I've made, whether it's I have the Pantera mouth appliance for sleeping, and it really works well. And I took the impression myself, and it just dropped right in. And I have found that the digital flow for that, I just want to control that myself. But most of those, they're machining out, which is amazing material. But
hey, August, I got a couple questions for you.
Okay.
Wally Renee asked you, have you tried Keystone Soft? Is it any good?
I have not. I have asked the CEO of Keystone to send me some free stuff, and I have not asked the CEO of Keystone. So I don't know. I mean, I've got Sprint Ray indirect bracket tray, which I believe to be a softer material. So I have not tried it yet because I'm cheap and I don't want to pay for it.
I got another question for you. Let me find it here. Michael Colleran asks, what are the top 4 printers out there for dentistry as far as bang for the buck?
Great question. That is a great question.
Yeah.
So we've talked about the Asiga. And so what I usually tell people is let's say there's 4. So the cheapest on the good dental spectrum. Now there's a printer called the Anycubic Photon, which is $250. You can go on the Anycubic Photon dental site. Apparently, I've been banned from the Anycubic dental site. Actually, even before I joined, I was banned by whomever felt that I was not worthy.
Why?
But
Tell us why. What's the scoop on this? This is good dirt. What's going on?
I don't know. I think that some people think I'm an asshole. I don't know why.
Not us.
I don't. Yeah. But anyway, the Anycubic Photon is a type of printer called an LCD printer that uses a phone screen to print. I think it's very inaccurate, and I think it breaks down a lot, so let's just put it away. So the cheapest of the dental would be the Form 3B from Formlabs, which, James, you had a Formlabs before, right?
I had a 2.
Form 2. I had a Form 2 also.
Yeah.
And so that's a laser-based printer. It's
SLA, yeah.
The next level up is the Sprint Ray Pro, which is one of my favorites. And I think that for 98% of what I do, it works great. It's got a big build plate, cheap resins. So I think that if you're looking at a printer, that's where I feel like I direct a lot of most dentists to. So the next level up would be one of 2 printers. So it would be the Asiga Max, which does amazing, amazing stuff. My criticism of the Asiga Max is it's probably one of the best printers out there, but the build plate's pretty small.
It's
so
really
especially
small.
if you get into printing dies, especially topic for another thing, but a Geller model is a model that has an articulating element on top of it. They get pretty wide. So sometimes you can't even print a Geller model. So the next level up from that is the Envisiontech 1 that uses the same technology that Carbon uses, called continuous light interface production. It's crazy fast. It's got a big build plate, but it also has a good size price tag. So with all the bells and whistles included, you're looking at about $19,000 on that. So those are the 4 biggies.
So you mentioned the Form Lab 3. How much does that one cost about?
$4,500.
Okay, and
so
then I'm just typing these things out as we're talking. So go ahead and list the relative prices.
Sprint Ray Pro is $6,750. Asiga has 2 types of printers. They have an LCD, which is the cheaper one. I think that's the one that you have. And then they have the DLP, which is the better.
Are you calling me cheap? Did you just call me cheap?
I didn't call you cheap. I can say I kind of did. What you want to buy is the Asiga Max, which is their DLP version. That's about $13,000. I could be wrong.
That is the one I have. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm trying to run with California boys.
I'm glad we got that cleared up. That helps the relationship.
Well, one thing I would like to add about the Envisiontech Envision 1, again, it uses the same technology as Carbon, so it can print a dental model in about 10-15 minutes. They've actually just introduced a technology that allows it to print in different translucencies. So you can actually print a temporary with a more opaque cervical and a more translucent incisal. So I think that's kind of a cool deal.
Yeah.
That one, don't quote me on the exact price, but I think we're looking about $18,000-19,000 for that.
So what do you think is the, everybody asks you this, but what do you think is the next step in dental printing? What are we looking at? Because, I got into printing really fast right after you did, and then next thing I know, I was like already behind. And, is that just going to be the nature of it for the next few years, or it's going to start stabilizing?
Funny, printing went through the same evolution that Cirac did. So remember in the beginning, Cirac it was more like the MCXL and the software, then all of a sudden it became about materials. Oh, yeah. And so now with printers, they're all kind of the same, right? You got a bucket of composite and a UV light, and then you make stuff. So I think that sintering is going to become cheaper. So being able to print metal. Todd, you and I saw, and actually it was really funny. We posted a video of the custom implant, and a bunch of people got really pissy about it. But I could be the future of scanning a patient, saying we need an implant in number 30, and literally being able to sinter either in titanium or zirconia a custom implant for the tooth. Not necessarily one that has a perforation in it, but we say, okay, we're going to fit a 5.2 by 11.5 implant in this ridge. Well, you'll be able to say, I will print a 5.8 by 13.7 millimeter implant to fit that ridge. So I think sintering is going to be where printing is going.
Do you think all these big implant companies like Nobel and Straumann are going to let that happen? I mean, that's got to be, there's some politics involved in that.
Yeah, there's definitely FDA issues. There's definitely some political issues. But hey, remember when we first started milling crowns, how pissed people got?
I remember when August was recycling his blocks, and he would glue the mandrel back on and try to get something else back on.
That was a certain dentist, or the dentist in New Jersey who was printing blocks. Are you talking about that?
Yeah. No, inside joke. Sorry. Let's move on.
From a dude from Spain that was doing that, which is just dumb.
Well, I got another question. I just can't post the rest of it because there's some bad words in it. So, but I'll summarize. If you only had to have one printer as a dentist, which one do you think you would probably use right now?
Oh God!
Sorry, buddy. We're throwing you hardballs, man.
That puts you on the edge here because all these other companies are watching right now, or they
really
will.
Well,
I think he just got fired by two printing companies as this video goes.
Let me answer this in more of what is used most in my office.
Okay.
So
perfect.
Sprint Ray Pro is used most in my office. So as a general dentist, and unlike James, who does a lot of big cases, I am a single tooth dentist. So I don't do a lot of implant analog models. I don't do a lot of big anterior cases. So most of what I print are, I make my own aligners. So if you're not making your own aligners, you're pissing away thousands of dollars. So I make my own aligners, I make surgical guides, I make diagnostic wax ups. So the Sprint Ray Pro is really what I use the most.
Yeah, their software flow is really nice. It's probably the best I've seen out there. Yeah, the Siga is not an easy software flow.
It could use less buttons.
It took me a while to understand it, but I got it down now. So.
Yeah. So in that Sprint Ray software, especially in the new one, they have the where they make the base of it automatically, right? So you don't have to run it through. What is that silly Dungeons and Dragons program?
Yeah, you do. I haven't used Mesh Mixer in a long time, and actually, Blue Sky Plan from Blue Sky Bio also has an automatic basing feature. If you don't have a Sprint Ray Pro, you can use that software as well.
I remember watching one of your videos on Mesh Mixer. You don't know this, but I watched all your videos, and in your video, you're talking about the base, and you go, just use -11. I don't know why it's -11. Yeah. Just use -11. I go, that's why I'm not going to use this program.
That's science I'm throwing at you. No. Actually, Mesh Mixer was something that we used in the beginning because we had nothing. Right. But I think a lot of people quickly realized how difficult Mesh Mixer is. So it's a rarity I use it.
So what you're saying is the class I took from you a year ago was probably the last class you taught Mesh Mixer on.
Yeah.
But you did a great job. You did a really good job on it. I still have fond memories of that class. It was fun to sit in the back and learn.
Well, thank you. Thank you for hosting me in the most beautiful area in the world.
It was a lot of fun.
Yeah. Hey, August, you got any last words? How do you see yourself coming back into the game? Do you think it's going to be a drip, 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 or do you think it's going to be a fire hose of patients? What do you think is going to happen in LA?
I would like it to be a fire hose, but I don't think it will be. I think that people are going to be cautious coming in. I think that, you'll have your diehard hygiene that will brave it. I think you might have some older patients that may be a little bit worried. So we're prepared for either way. I think what the time of me sitting on my butt for, a month has done is I'm fired up to get back into practice, to, make some changes. It's funny, actually, with the time off, I've been going through my supplies and looking at what I'm ordering and prices on supplies. I've gone through all my bills, and I've, gotten DirecTV to lower things, AT&T to lower things. So I'm going to keep a better eye on my business. Hopefully, if I get
that's a good point.
I'm going to refinance some of my technology loans and get a lower rate. So that's what I'm doing.
Yeah, it's kind of a cool time, even though it's kind of negative all over the place. It's been refreshing to kind of look back at the business and kind of dissect where things are and where they should be, and kind of all the things that you should be doing and you never got around to. This has been the time to go do it. So good for you on that.
That's true.
Yeah. Hey, Daniel Vasquez just said, love it. It's awesome to see the three amigos together. That's Spanish. I don't know what amigos sent.
Yay!
Thanks, buddy. We appreciate you.
Thanks, Dan.
August or James, you got any more questions for August?
No, this has been a lot of fun. I've been sitting here taking notes.
Oh wow! Okay. I've been drinking.
Yeah, and I this was a very informative presentation and also a lot of fun. And August, it's good to see that you're looking healthy and you have a good tan.
Yeah, it's that Brazilian background of mine. So, thank you.
Did you say Brazilian back or Brazilian background? Okay, I wanted to make sure.
I do have a bit of a Brazilian booty, but that's you can't see it in the shot. So.
All right, buddy. Thanks for coming on. We appreciate it.
Yeah, thanks, August, and looking forward to seeing you sometime when we can see each other again.
Yeah, that'd be nice. Can't wait.
Thanks,
Thank
bro.
you.
Okay. James Clem, what'd you August? I've known him for 20 years.
Great he sometimes he'll take a humble approach, but that guy's brilliant. I've sat in his classes. He can take something and dissect something and put it together in a very practical way, in a very rapid way. I've never really seen anybody to do it like that. So I'm looking forward to him growing, because as he grows, I grow and follow him. He's been a major component of some things that I do in my practice, particularly around the implant world. So
the guy,
I really appreciate it.
Yeah, he never stops. He's always learning.
One day, you know what? My wife even brought me scarves now.
Yeah, no, I'm and I
like them.
On. Yeah.
Well, when I'm cold, there's nothing. If you keep your neck cold, your brain works better, and maybe that's one of his angles, and we didn't know that.
He's got all sorts of angles, lots of angles. All right, so let me review. Hey, James Clem, we've got Ladies Week next week, and
that's right.
And one dude, we got to put one dude in there, but you'll see why. He's a great guy. So we've got Shivi and Mona tomorrow. They're gonna be a lot of fun. We've got some surprises. A big surprise that we
have a big surprise that we can't talk about.
Not quite yet.
In fact, I woke up this morning and I saw a text come through, and I'm going, wow. But we're not going to share with our audience who that is at this time.
Yeah, it's a little premature, but thank you to all the people that gave us hearts and likes and everything. Yeah. James's face got smeared in pink again today.
I needed that today. It's interesting because you may not know this, but whenever I do my videos, I always do them in the morning because of this language thing I have. And what I've learned, in fact, when I got out of dental school, you wouldn't even see me getting up in front of people. And my dad always was really encouraging to me. And what I've learned is you can have some disadvantages in life and learn how to master them and get around them and actually have a lot of fun. So I think that's what I've learned from this, but I always have to guard myself in the evening.
Yeah, well, big day tomorrow. So we've got 2 guests tomorrow, Mona and Shivi. So everybody join us tomorrow morning. And
Absolutely.
and then Ladies Week. So peace out, my friends. Thanks so much.
Be
Appreciate
safe.
it.
And we'll see you tomorrow.
Yeah.